My humble pranams at the divine lotus feet of our beloved Bhagawan, Sri Sathya Sai Baba. Sairam to all of you, respected elders, dear sisters and brothers. Today is very special day, not just today. This from Avatar Day to Swami's birthday is very, very special to all of us. So today I'm so fortunate to share some of my experiences with all of you. So just wanted to, first of all, ask myself why I'm asked to speak. So as Ramya introduced, I was Swami's college student. Thanks to Ramya for all those good words. And Swami once asked students, what is the meaning of zero? Then students said, Swami, zero means nothing. Then Swami said, if you add 1 to next to 0, what happens? Then it becomes 10, Swami. And if you add, so that means, like Swami said, okay, as a 0, it doesn't have any meaning. But when you add 1 next to it, it has become 10. Then if you add 1 more 0, it could be like 100 million, like that value is increasing. So here I am 1. I'm because you are all zeros, but you are because with me. So you add value to yourselves. So this is Swami. Why Swami said that? Think of it. If we think ourselves, when we realize divinity within us, when we realize that Swami is within us, then we are heroes. As Swami said, we are all add value to ourselves. We can walk in right path. We add our value when we know Swami is within us, with us all the time. We can not just 10 folds, 100 folds, million folds. We can just add value to ourselves and become a worthy instrument of Swami. So thinking of that, Swami is with me, and I pray to him to think through me, to speak through me, to act through me all the time. And I'm going to enjoy speaking today with all of you, sharing what Swami wants me to share. When Sister Anu asked me to talk today and share my experiences, I was thinking, particularly, there may not be many more experiences for myself itself, but it's always interesting for all of us to know how Sai sisters and brothers came into Swami's fold. And that itself becomes like Sai Bhagavatam, right? Listening to those stories, how Swami draws them to himself. So I thought I'll start with my family journey to Swami today. So as Ramya introduced, my grandfather, Dr. Seetharamaiah, back in 1953, came to Swami. At that time, Swami was only 28 years old. But first he heard about him through his sister, who had darshan of Swami. And she came back and told my grandfather that this boy, looks like divine. And he is creating vibhuti, he's creating all these pendants and all these things, very interesting. Then my grandfather first thought maybe it looks like he's a magician. But then he thought anyway he wanted to visit and have a darshan of Swami on his trip to Tirupati. So that year he had planned a trip. So after the trip, he went to Puttaparthi. So going to Puttaparthi is not easy. We think that from states from where we live to go to Parthi is like a long journey. But those days, even though we were in like Andhra Pradesh, same state as Puttaparthi, it was a lot of long journey. I'll tell you how many vehicles you have to change. But anyway, my grandfather went there and had darshan of Swami. And as soon as he saw Swami, he realized Swami is God. That's all. Nothing like as darshan itself changed him. So some devotees are so, I guess, fortunate to have that experience, right? So my grandfather immediately knows Swami is a God. There was no question about it. So he had his darshan and then went back home. And immediately, like almost in a month again, he wanted to go to Swami. So he went there. Like this going from our place is like you have to take a bus, you have to cross the waters of Godavari River, because we were surrounded by Godavari all around, and one side is coastal, it's an ocean. So anywhere we have to go, we have to cross the rivers, and then go to like take up 3 or 4 trains those days, and then like you take a bus and a jet car, which is a horse carriage. So much pain to go, but still like grandfather went like almost in 6 months. He has been there like 6 times, I guess. So after that, then he asked Swami, could I stay here? I'm retired. He was a doctor, but he did his government service and just retired. So he asked Swami for permission if he could stay in ashram. Then Swami gave permission, and Swami said, I'm building few rooms here, you could stay. So my grandfather was very happy and they moved there. So after a few years, that is in 1956, Swami going to start a general hospital. That's when Swami asked him, can you be the superintendent of my hospital? My grandfather was like baffled. He was like, Swami, I retired and I came to you to just spend my rest of the life here at your lotus feet. So please, Swami, I don't think I can take this responsibility. Then Swami said, you just be my instrument. That's it. I will take care of everything. Then as soon as he hears my grandfather like, okay, Swami, I will do. And he actually, even though he was retired, 25 more years he went to hospital. And that hospital, many of you probably know that Swami's General Hospital used to be on a hill. So even when he was like, after he came to 90 years old, also I saw him like walking slowly to the hospital. So until his last breath, he was like Swami's instrument, and he always obeyed Swami's command. There's no second thought, and always whatever Swami says, that's it. So that was my grandfather. And he had seen Swami doing operations and curing patients, several miracles. But he knew that is nothing. He was nothing, and he was just an instrument in Swami's hands. And by that time, actually, when my grandfather went to Patti, my parents didn't see Swami yet. And one of those days, my mother, her dearest Lord is Sri Rama. So she always prays to Sri Rama. But she was diagnosed with diabetes. She was only like in her early 30s. And her mother, my grandmother, passed away with diabetes as well. So my mother was so scared, and she started praying to Lord Rama. And my father also was doctor. So he put her in a diet, and he put her on medication and all that stuff. So she was like praying to Lord Rama one day, and then she had a vision. A bright light came, and then she heard a voice saying, you have no disease, you are fine. So next day morning, she woke up and she told my father, I don't have anything. I heard this divine voice. Then my father didn't believe, and as usual, he went on, and he tried to do some tests because she insisted. And for his surprise, she was just as normal as anyone can be. then afterwards, with my grandfather requested Swami to come to our village. Swami came, and as soon as my mother saw Swami, she saw that bright light around him, and Swami's voice she could associate easily, and then she has become Swami's devotee. And she had been to, like, for every little small issue, she used to run to Swami. And those days they were so fortunate to have Swami access to Swami so easily. So that is how, you probably heard of Swami's visiting cards, right? Those are like leelas, those miracles. So my parents were lucky enough to receive so many of those visiting cards, and they were lucky to have Swami's blessings in many ways, and definitely they fell for that. And our house, we all grew up knowing Swami as God. So there's nothing really for us special about Swami. Swami is our God. But we used to go during Dasara holidays to Patti. And then there we used to have a very good time. Of course, seeing Swami, coming in car and having darshans, all that is one thing. And we had a duty that we need to watch out, because our room is on East Prasanthi. That is where, if you stand there, actually, when Swami comes out of his room, we could see very nicely. So my grandmother used to give us a duty to say, if Swami comes out, or if Swami's car comes out, you guys have to come and tell us. So we always used to watch and then run inside to tell grandmother, okay, Swami is coming. So that's like a play for us. And then going to Chinta-Chettukonda, that is where tamarind tree, where Swami created all these different fruits and all for his friends. So going there, going to General Hospital Hill, all these are like our playthings, and we used to pluck flowers to make Swami's garlands. And it is just a lot of fun for us, and we had so much good time. And we also used to accompany my grandmother to Swami's dining room as well. So all these things we had, but I mean, until recently, one of my friend, she doesn't know Swami. She was reading Bhagavatam, and she came to me and said, how lucky those gopikas are. And just thinking of how many miracles they had witnessed and how much fun they had with Lord Krishna. It would have been so nice if we lived in those days. Then it struck me, it is for real. We had all that joy. Though those days we thought it was natural and fun to be with Swami, but we never realized how fortunate we were to grow with Swami. And Swami, the God, is real for us. So I was just become so inner, my inner voice was telling me how much we didn't realize those days. So anyway, coming to myself, I wanted to study medicine like my father, but somehow I didn't make it. So I was very sad, and I was thinking, Swami, why I'm not able to become doctor. But I didn't know that cleared my path to Swami's college, because I didn't get admission into medical college. My father said you could go and study in Swami's college, and I applied and I got seat. So sometimes we do not know what is good for us, what we need as well. So anyway, I had good fortune to study in Swami's college. And then afterwards, after I finished my master's program, I came back. My sister, who was also already teaching in Swami's college, she advised me saying, ask Swami. after my master's program, I came to Bharti. We always, like, ex-students used to come there and wait for Swamis to tell us what to do next, kind of. So my sister advised me to ask Swami to give permission for me to work honorarily. So I said, okay. Then I sent my request and letter to Swami to give me permission to work in his institute as an honorary teacher. Swami gave me permission. So I was very happy and I was working. Many of my friends said, why you want honorary? Means those days it is like you work without taking salary. So they were like asking me, why you want to do that? I said, I really didn't have anything whether I should do it that way or other way. I was just listened to my sister and followed. And I was like, I didn't even think it was a service as well. I just wanted to work in Swami's college and have fun. And I worked so sincerely and passionately. And Swami rewarded me for those 2 years of work that I did. He blessed me so much in return. I cannot explain. So what are his blessings? So, like, as I mentioned before, like, I didn't know whether it is medicine is good for me or going to Swami's. Nothing I know. So sometimes, we forget that everything. Swami is like the mother who has the little baby in his womb. So we are like those babies. So do we ask Swami, I'm hungry or anything? No, the baby in the womb doesn't ask mother anything. Mother knows everything, what and when that baby needs. That same way Swami is like, he's enveloped us and with his love and protection. He gives us what we need. We just have to, like, enjoy Swami and just have that trust in Swami. So why ask this and that? That's what I came to know later. So always, like, you think of it, okay, when it's all going good, we think, okay, Swami's blessing, we are happy. But if something goes wrong, then you start asking, why Swami, why it happened to me? So why do we have to do that? Whatever he blesses, if we could take it, and if we trust Swami, then we are always can be happy, right? So this is where I always like that analogy I try to remember. And then, like, Swami himself once said, this is like, I think back in 1950s when Swami used to go to Venkatagiri Maharaja's place. That's where he was like used to give darshan sessions, and one of those sessions, I guess, Swami, in front of Swami, one atheist came and he started talking about non-existence of God and his beliefs. He's talking in front of Swami always. Then Swami heard patiently, and then he said, okay. And then he called one person from the small audience over there and to ask Swami, why did you come here? Where did you want to go before you come here? Then that person said, Swami, I had a big problem with my family. I actually wanted to run away. I wanted to go somewhere where nobody sees me. So something like that, he said. And then I heard your voice in saying that to come here. So I came here, Swami. I'm so happy that now I feel so peaceful. Swami turned to this atheist and said, see, he came because inside him, Swami told him. So that's where God is. God is not somewhere outside. He's inside. So then atheist fell at Swami's feet. Obviously, he understands Swami's divinity then. But so if we remember those little things, we never fail in our lives. So that is what I was like, even like just few days before, we asked our SSE children to write what I still teach group 3, and so I told them, please write what is Swami means to you. Then, of course, some of them wrote Swami is their God, Swami is their friend, and he's the source of inspiration. So many good things they wrote. But one child wrote, Swami is part of me. Swami, I am in him and he is in me. So that is really so profound. Swami is inside us and we are part of Swami. So it is like, if you just think of this, then you'll never forget Swami, right? So when you start feeling that Swami is with you all the time, then what more experience you need, right? That is the best experience you can have. Every moment becomes the best experience. So I would say that, we are all like so lucky to know Swami, to have that divine taste. So we should never have to worry about anything. And it is the biggest joy we have in our hearts and in our lives. So I just wanted to share that with you, because sometimes like we think the miracles are experiences, but really I feel that every breath we take, if we can think of Swami just as inhalation, as our exhalation goes out, that little moment of our life becomes a very great experience. So I just wanted to share that with all of you. And as this month is very special to all of us, I'm so grateful that you have given me this opportunity. And I pray to Swami that to give all of us, to shower us with his grace, to have those moments of great joy, those experiences for all of us. So I mean, I could tell more about many other things, but I thought like I just wanted to make this as my favorite thing to tell, because I also like every day. Once when I was just this one instance I'll tell you, and then I'll close my talk, because we do so many monotonous things in our lives. Sometimes we say, why do I have to do this? But one thing I understand from Swami, and he said, like, anything you do, if you make it as a practice of chanting Swami's name, with that, it becomes worship, right? So that's when I learned, as I take a breath, like as you do dishes, as you do any other work, if you think of that, that's the best time to meditate on Swami. So sometimes you have a chance to sit and meditate, but every moment, if you could, every breath, if you can think of Swami's name, then it becomes so joyful. Whatever you are doing, you forget about that as a monotonous work. That becomes worship to Swami, prayer to Swami. So I just want to share that little experience. And I once, like when I was telling someone what is my part-time, what I enjoy, then I said microwave yoga. Microwave yoga means, what I meant was like, it's for a small moments, you can pray. Like just like microwave, in 1 minute you can finish cooking, right? The same way, not even a moment, not even a minute, it is each moment we can take, and we can do our sadhana just with Swami's name as Namasmarana. Then it becomes our great sadhana, and we become closer to Swami, and we feel that Swami is within us all the time and we'll be very happy. So again, once again, I pray to Swami for all of us and to give that source of joy. And I close my talk today. And thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to share what experiences we have in our family. So thank you. Sai Ram. Jai Sai Ram.